Well, hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Unlocked Show. I'm your show host, Tracy Wilson, and today, boy, oh boy, have I got a special guest for you. I've been lucky enough to get to know Brad Yates over the last, I would say, 6 to 8 months, and he is one of the nicest people you could ever meet, and I absolutely mean that. So the other thing that I've got to know about Brad is that he's really darn good at this process called, or this technique called EFT tapping. And over the last 8 months, I've been incorporating EFT tapping into my life and being able to use that to overcome all sorts of obstacles, all sorts of resistance that I've been, sometimes we feel those moments of resistance, like, it could be around health, it could be around wealth, it could be around relationships. But whatever it is, I have come to learn that EFT tapping is the way to create more health, wealth, and happiness in your life. And you can actually use this technique for all of those, which sounds rather ridiculous, really, doesn't it? Seems like, really? Is that true? Can you use it for all of those things? Well, it's true. So I want to welcome to the show Brad Yates. Brad is I'm going to say he's one of the leading authorities in the space of EFT tapping. He has his own YouTube channel that's got, loads and loads of stuff that he shares about EFT tapping. And also he is now recently, in fact, it's coming out very, very soon. I don't know if we're allowed to say this, Brad, but I know that you are appearing on a really big summit that's coming out in the next week or so, along with some really influential business people in the business sector. Why? Because they all use EFT tapping too. So welcome to the show, Brad.
Thank you so much, Tracy. Great to be here with you.
Always great to have you here. So, hey, let's have a little bit of a chat about, firstly, what is EFT tapping? Because a lot of people will be thinking, that the title of today is Tap Your Way to Health, Wealth, and Happiness in 2021. Do we mean tap dancing, or is there some other kind of tapping that we need to be doing?
Yes. We're going to teach you all to be Savion Glover and make a fortune as a tap dancer. Put on your tap shoes right now. No. I was not that good at tapping.
Not quite the same kind of tapping, hey?
No. As a drama major in college, I did have to learn a little bit of tap dancing, but it's been a long time since I've done that. No, we are talking about tapping with our fingertips on key places around our face and torso primarily. And if this is the first time you've heard of it, I know that you might be saying, okay, it seemed like a stretch when Tracy was saying it could help you in terms of health, wealth, and happiness. And now you're telling me it's tapping. And so let me explain. So there's a very good reason why we do this. This is based on acupuncture. So for thousands of years in Chinese medicine, they have said there's a flow of energy through the body along pathways that are called meridians. And when this energy is flowing naturally, we experience our natural state of health and well-being, physically and emotionally. When this energy gets stuck, we don't feel so good. We experience emotional discomfort and physical discomfort. We have a lot of stress, and we don't make our best choices. We don't think as clearly, and that can have unfortunate consequences for our lives. So in traditional acupuncture, the doctor would stick needles in these key points, and we are literally just using tapping to stimulate those same points to get that energy flowing naturally. And we also have modern research showing how this dramatically lowers stress. Cortisol, one of the stress hormones, we have a number of studies showing that the group, because they've done double-blind control groups, and the group doing the tapping, their cortisol levels drop dramatically. My friend Peter Stapleton down there in Australia with you, she has done some of the first fMRI studies where you can see how the brain lights up. Different parts of the brain light up with activity when people see different images and think about different things, and how after the tapping, those same kind of stress responses are no longer occurring. So while most of us who have been tapping for some time just know, yes, it feels a whole lot better. It's helping me think more clearly. It's helping me make better choices and take better actions. We also have this scientific research showing, yes, and there's something more to it than just, hey, people are feeling better.
And what is really interesting now, and I don't know if this is happening in America, but I'm certainly seeing it here in Australia, is that they're actually incorporating tapping into schools. to help the children deal with stress and anxiety and all those other emotional things that children go through. So they've started to incorporate that here
Now, there's a
based
number
on
of
those scientific studies.
yeah, a number of schools have done that. In fact, PETA, my friend, created a program called Tap in the Classroom, and the country of Slovenia paid for their teachers to go through this course. So there are all kinds of places. There's a number of schools in the U.S. That have taken it in. I've seen videos of schools in Mexico where they are teaching it to the kids. I don't have either of my children's books right here, but I've written children's book because when I was working with adults and we're dealing with all kinds of things that have come up from their past, and I thought, wow, if we could teach kids how to do this and they could learn how to clear out these misunderstandings like the day that it happened instead of 50, 60 years later, how much more successful can that person be? How much healthier and happier can that person be? So, yeah, there's a lot of us who have found ways to introduce this to kids.
I'm interested to know, like, as far as your background is concerned. So, what were prior to sort of being exposed to EFT tapping? What were you doing, and how did this all come about? How did you sort of get into? Because you're extremely passionate about this technique. So, how did that all come about?
Yeah. How does a grown man find himself tapping on his face for a living? I actually started as an actor. And I was traveling the world doing theater, including down there at the Victoria Arts Centre in Melbourne.
Oh, wow.
And then I decided to go to Hollywood and be a movie star, as one does. And while I was there, I met a woman, fell in love, got married. And when our first child was on the way, I thought, I should probably have a backup career. Mm-hmm. So I had always been fascinated with the power of the mind, and I trained to become a hypnotherapist. So I started doing that, and it was great because my trained actor voice was very helpful for that. And was doing that for a while, building a small practice while I was still pursuing my acting career. And a couple of years later, when our second child was on the way, I thought, as much as I love acting, doing personal development work really feels like my calling. This is what I feel called to do, is helping people shift their mindset so that they can have greater health, wealth, and happiness. So we left Los Angeles, and through some other hypnotherapists, I heard about this tapping thing, EFT, emotional freedom techniques. Went to a conference in Las Vegas where I took a course with Gary Craig, the founder of EFT, and really thought it was profound, especially when he gave everybody Hershey's Kisses and asked people on a scale of 0 to 10, how much do you want that chocolate? And I was a bit of a chocoholic at the time. And I'm like, 8. Mm-hmm. And we just tapped for a few minutes, and I couldn't eat the chocolate. I didn't eat chocolate for 2 years after that. Now I've recovered. Don't worry.
One session.
After just a few moments of tapping, I didn't eat chocolate for 2 years. I recovered, but I still at different times will go on sugar fasts, and I'll just tap on any cravings, and then whatever it is doesn't look like food to me anymore. It's not a matter of willpower or forcing myself to deprive myself. It just that's not what my body wants right now. So in that moment, being able to go from really wanting that chocolate to not wanting it at all, and being about as interested in the chocolate as I was the foil wrapper, I thought, there's something interesting here. So after that conference, I started little by little introducing tapping at the end of my hypnotherapy sessions. And then little by little, they became tapping sessions. And I still do a little bit of hypnosis at the end because I still love that process. But this became my main technique because you could see the changes in the person right there and how they shifted their mindset. And it really is, it's shifting that mindset, lowering the stress around whatever the emotion is that's coming up. If it's a physical craving or an upset, feeling stressed about something, feeling angry, feeling sad. And that's why it can be so powerful in terms of all these different things you mentioned. Health, wealth, happiness. What what creates greater levels of these different things is the choices we make and the actions that we take. Mm-hmm. But we tend to make our choices based on old programming and our emotional responses. So when we use EFT, emotional freedom technique, we have the emotional freedom to make better choices. And then those better choices lead to much greater consequences in our lives, greater health, more money, all kinds of good stuff.
Have you got, I mean, it's fascinating that in just a short period of time that you can go from, oh my gosh, I could eat a whole bowl of those Hershey Kisses to, I don't even want one of them, and then stay off chocolate for that period of time after one session. Yeah. And so I know that, because we've had conversations previously about how much impact this can have in all different areas of your life. So if we just isolated this down for a moment into sort of the health space, I mean, what are some examples of some people maybe that you've worked with that have come to you with various different things, and maybe they have gone through an EFT tapping process with you, and what the result may look like on the other side?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different things. One of the catchphrases with EFT is "try it on everything." So, gee, I'm stressing about my financial debt. Try it on it. I have this chronic pain in my shoulder. Tap on it. I'm struggling in my relationship. Tap on it. So, I mean, and I've had the good fortune of working with a lot of people over the years. I've been at this for a little over 20 years now for so many of these things, and have seen people being able to, double, triple their income, people being able to, having some sort of physical ailment. I had a booth at a health fair once, and somebody came over and was saying that their back was really bothering them. And I said, well, okay, so let's do some tapping on it. On a scale of 0 to 10, he said his pain was about an 8. And so we did a little bit of tapping, and he said, yeah, I think that feels better. About 2 hours later, he came by my booth again with his girlfriend, and he said, I don't know what you did, but they have a dance floor at another part of this fair, and we've been over there dancing. What did you do? Mm-hmm. We just cleared some of the stuff that was, causing that stress that was manifesting as pain in your back. And that's not to say, I would say, I'm not a doctor. I just played one on TV. And so I'm not making medical claims, but there are all kinds of case studies with all kinds of different physical issues that have gotten relief from tapping.
I mean, look, the way I look at it is if you're saying you can use this technique to kind of clear almost anything, to work on almost anything. So whether it's an ailment that you have, or whether it's you're striving for something bigger and better in your life, I mean, you can use this technique for anything. And even though can't make any medical claim to say, well, it absolutely will do that, it's not harmful, is it?
I have not seen any harm, unless someone taps too hard and are bruising themselves. Sometimes people find themselves getting very emotionally uncomfortable in the process. Mm-hmm. It's not actually the tapping that does that. It's that we're focusing on the issue. So the analogy I like to use is, if you imagine you've got company coming over and you decide, well, I really want to clean up my living room and have it, be really clean because I want to impress these people. And you look at it and you say, okay, on a scale of 0 to 10, how clean is it? Well, it's about a 7, but I want it to be a 10. And while you're doing that, you look under the sofa and you find some dirty laundry under there. And you lift the rug and you see some dirt that you'd swept under there. And now, in terms of how clean it is, it's maybe a 2 or a 3. You're not going to say, oh, well, obviously cleaning made my living room more dirty. but it was the process of going to clean that you went and you found those things. So we're just more aware of the things that we so often sweep under the rug, really, or shove under the sofa. And that's one of the key things, is that we do that so often. We limit our success and our well-being in so many ways because there are so many things that bother us but we don't pay attention to them. Just like, oh yeah, and stress, we just assume that stress is part of life. And if you're not stressed, you're not doing it right. But stress compromises our ability to think. It compromises our ability to take positive action. It has all kinds of unfortunate consequences. So being able to use this technique that is such a quick, simple form of stress relief. And that's why it's so beneficial in terms of even physical ailments, because most, if not all, doctors will say stress either causes or contributes to most of these physical ailments. So when we can quickly relieve stress, it makes sense that we feel better, at least to some extent. And for those physical aspects that are not, that the stress isn't directly contributing to. So, for instance, if you break your leg, just tapping to clear the stress about that is not going to reset the bone. However, it is going to allow you to think more clearly, make better choices. It also frees up your body and your mind body, your bandwidth in order to heal, because the body has amazing healing capacity, but it's so often limited by all of the stress and other uncomfortable emotions we're experiencing.
Yes. So I just want to let everybody know, for those of you that are watching now, I'm gonna ask Brad to actually take us through a tapping sequence, which he's going to do very, very shortly. So I just wanted to give everybody a bit of a heads up so that you can start thinking about, because I want your participation here, and I want to know, what is it that you would like Brad to help you tap on? Do you want to tap on health, wealth, or relationships? Which one of those areas of your life would you like Brad to do a very impromptu tapping session with all of us on? So we won't do it right now. I'm gonna wait a little while, so just hang around, because we'll talk a little bit more about this EFT tapping technique, and we're also going to share with you something pretty exciting that's been happening in the world of Brad Yates and also for the Meridian team. So we'll share that with you in just a few moments. But I want to make sure that you guys all get an opportunity to participate in the tapping round, and we'll be doing that very, very shortly. So Brad, I know that even with your family and your children, you've been using EFT tapping for all kinds of things, even from a family perspective.
Yeah, I use it every day, and I think everyone should use it every day, just like, because it's energy hygiene, just like physical hygiene, brushing our teeth, taking a shower, recommend it on a daily basis. Please don't go for a week, and wait until someone's holding their nose around you and going, now I should do it. But stress builds up. And so there are numerous times that, and as my kids were growing up, there'd be things that I have them tap on. Now, to be fair, anything your dad does is uncool. And when your dad does something like this, it's really uncool. So I can't say that they were the most enthusiastic tappers as kids. But I did do some videos with my daughter when she was 9. And then when she was 19, 10 years later, she said, "Hey, I think we need to do some more videos for young adults." So that was very cool.
Fantastic. It's funny, isn't it? They do think that your dad's pretty uncool when they're just young, but then as they get a little bit older, it's like, oh, actually, you might have known a thing or two, and maybe this tapping thing's got something in it. So great to see that they're also doing, using this technique too. So let's talk a little bit about, you mentioned earlier about the Meridian Points, and that this really goes back to like Chinese acupuncture. So let's talk through like these different points. What are they, and why do we use those?
Yeah. So EFT is based on thought field therapy, which was developed by Roger Callahan. Roger Callahan was a psychologist who had this client who had a lifelong fear of water. She was about 40 years old, could only bathe in like an inch of water. She just was terrified of water. And she had been to different therapists throughout her life. She'd been with Dr. Callahan for about a year and a half. And the best he could do was have her out by the swimming pool, but she had to be looking away from it. She could, and she was uncomfortable, but at least he could get her into the backyard near the swimming pool. And he was sort of expanding his horizons in terms of healing modalities and was taking a class in acupressure. Acupressure, just using the same points as acupuncture, just using physical touch, and learned that. And so I was learning about this. And at one point he said, well, what is the physical discomfort you have when you think about water? She goes, well, I get a knot in my stomach. And he said, oh, okay. So I learned that one of the key points for the stomach meridian, because these meridians are based on, are associated with different organs, which tend to be associated with different emotions. I said, okay, well, the point they use for the stomach meridian is right under the eye. So let's see what happens if you just tap here. And just tap for a moment, it's gone. And he said, what's gone? She said, the fear. And she runs out the house towards the swimming pool. And he's running after her saying, wait, stop. And she's like, it's okay. I know I don't know how to swim, but got down by the water and was splashing water in her face and said, I feel fine. So naturally he thought, well, that's interesting. and started experimenting with different clients and found that depending on what their emotional upset was, that there were different points that he could use in different algorithms. So as I said, the different points are associated with different emotions. So right here, we tap the beginning of the eyebrow, which is associated with the bladder meridian, which is associated with sadness and trauma. The corner of the eye is gallbladder, associated with anger and resentment. Right under the eye is stomach, associated with fear. So each of these points is associated with a different meridian, which tends to be associated with different emotions. So Dr. Callahan would diagnose which emotions were connected and which points the person should tap in which sequence. Then Gary Craig, who I mentioned founded EFT, was one of Dr. Callahan's first students, and he was trained as an engineer. And he's thinking like an engineer. It's like, how do we simplify this? And he said, okay, rather than worrying about which points are needed for which issues, because there's only 8 points that we're tapping, and it doesn't take very long, what if we just tap all the points in a row? And found that he got the same great results without spending time trying to figure out which point. So while each of these points are associated with a different meridian, organ, emotion in traditional acupuncture, the simplicity of EFT, just tapping through, we don't even need to worry about that. And sometimes we may even find that a certain point doesn't seem to be what would be prescribed. So I had a moment many years ago where something was happening and I was going to a panic, and I just naturally started tapping the side of my eye, which would normally be associated with anger rather than fear. And I just said, all right, I'm just going to go with my gut instinct here. And I was able to calm down. So sometimes what's going on inside of us might not be what we think it is prescribed to those different points. But that is how those different points, how Dr. Callahan came up with those different points, was from his training in acupressure and how they're associated with different feelings.
Fascinating. It's such an interesting topic, and I can see why you've become so passionate about it. When you're, as far as like these 8 points, and then kind of going through a sequence, like you explained, you can do all of them all at the same time, regardless of what the situation is or what the ailment is, because it has the same sort of outcome. Right. How important is it to? Can you do this on your own, or is it best to, find somebody like such as yourself that would actually help you to get used to the process, understand what needs to, how to do it effectively? Would you recommend that first, or is it something that you could just go, once you've learned the 8 points, you can just go ahead and do it yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll be going through this, and I'll show you the very basic version of EFT. And once you know that, you can do that. I mean, even just what I've shown you right now, you could just tap those points and start to bring down stress levels. And sometimes it's a dramatic shift. Sometimes it'll go from a 10 to a 0 like that. Sometimes it'll be much more subtle, especially if we're not really feeling stressed out. And so we might, be tapped. Well, nothing's really happening. And that's like, taking a vitamin. Very few of us take a vitamin and go, wow, suddenly I feel so much vim and vigor. But we know there are benefits to it. And the same with the tapping. Sometimes the benefits are very subtle, but it is always helping us out. In order to really clear some of the emotional things that are going on and some of the beliefs that are behind them, it's very beneficial to add the wording in and to talk about the issue. And that's where some people get stuck and they say, I don't know what to say, so I don't know how to do it, so I won't do it. And that's why I first started creating the videos. It was back in 2007 when YouTube was a pretty new thing. And I just had this idea. I thought, hey, wouldn't it be really cool if there was a tapping video that people could start their day with and have a really good day? And I'll call it Tap of the Morning. And that was all I ever intended to do, was that one video. And it was like 6 months later that I finally decided, there should be a tap of the evening, something to end the day with. And then I had another idea. Now I have over 1,000 videos on all kinds of different emotional things, and either overcoming discomfort or increasing motivation or money mindset, things like that. So it can be very helpful to have somebody guide you through it. And then, especially if you are dealing with some heavy emotional stuff, not always the best thing to do on your own. Yeah. And so it's very beneficial to work with a practitioner who can guide you through it. And also, there's a part of us that wants to stay the same. We avoid change. Change is one of the things that we're most afraid of. It's such a subtle thing that we're not aware of it. We don't think, oh, I don't want to make a change. Consciously, we tell ourselves we do want to make a change. We just somehow never get around to it. Oh no, I know I'm gonna balance my budget and I'm gonna start eating healthy. The time is not quite right. It's because we're having little mini stress responses telling us not to do it. Because even if our life is crap, it's our crap. We know where it goes. We've dealt with it. We dealt with it yesterday. We know how to deal with it. It's something new that I don't know how to deal with that is scary. So we will stop ourselves from making those changes. Likewise, our mind will say, oh, I know exactly what you need to tap on in order to change this. And I'm not going to tell you what it is, because if I did, we have to deal with change. So working with a practitioner, somebody who is more committed to your positive outcome than to maintaining status quo, can help you see things that you hadn't seen before.
And that brings me to the next thing, because I know that there's been a project that has been worked on over the last number of months, because of the fact that we realize and understand how powerful and beneficial the technique of EFT tapping is. And so I thought it would be a great opportunity or time now for us to share with everybody, what the project is that we've been working on, and we can actually give them a sneak peek of this this brand new thing. So hang about, we'll get to it in a second. Brad's got one. I think I can even see it on his desk over there. So he'll show
Tracy,
it to
would you be talking
moment.
about the Freedom Seekers Journal?
I might just be talking about the Freedom Seekers Journal. So let's share with everybody how that came about and what actually happened and what it is. What is the Freedom Seekers Journal? And both of us can kind of talk on this particular topic, because I was lucky enough to be part of the process. So hence the reason that I've got to know Brad pretty well over the last number of months, because he and I and a bunch of other people have been working on this particular really exciting project, because for me, I know how impactful this is going to be once we get it into the hands of people and in their own homes, that this really does give them the opportunity to tap their way to freedom in whichever area of their life that they feel that they want to work on.
Yeah.
So let's show
And
it.
so it started when your business partner, Vicky Helm, had me on her show.
Mhm.
And I don't remember how that came about. I don't remember who, uh, she had seen my videos or something and said, "Ooh, I'd like to have him on the show." And we had a great chat and we're talking about it. And she was like, "I have an idea." I think this would be such a powerful thing to have people, especially as I talked about how I think it's so beneficial for folks to tap on a daily basis. And
Mhm.
I coach people using tapping to have success breakthroughs and clear the old programming. And she was saying, well, what if we created a journal where people are actually working on a day-to-day basis, writing down what they want to accomplish, who they want to become?
Mhm.
And that was a big part of it, was not just writing down goals and today I worked on my goals, but really about becoming the person who achieves these goals. So and I don't know if it's Vicky or which of you came up with the BE method, the balance energy method. So the idea of using tapping to balance energy, but balance energy
Mhm.
BE, because it's all about who are you being, and
Yeah.
being the sort of person. So it's not just writing down, oh, here's what I should do this week. It's who am I? Who do I want to be that does this? So it's not, well, I'm this loser trying to do healthy things. It's, I'm this athlete who exercises. I am this entrepreneur who creates great projects, and allowing so just combining that kind of mindset work with the tapping to clear out all the reasons
Mhm.
why we might doubt that, because that's so often the thing is we tell ourselves, I am not this person, I don't really have what
Yeah.
it takes based on my old experience. Your past doesn't define you. Who you thought you were based on old misunderstandings is what has created your circumstances.
Mhm.
So it's a matter of saying, okay, I'm chucking the old circumstances and I'm, starting over. Who do I choose to be? Because
Yes.
we have the potential of being whoever we choose to be. We all have that potential to be healthier, to be happier, to be more successful, to make better choices. And because we haven't done it in the past, I did a presentation to a group last week, and this one woman was talking about what she really wanted to achieve and how she's so jealous when she sees people having really great things, like, oh, I see this person's got this really great house and I'm so jealous. And it's like, because I could never have that. I said, how do you know you could never have it? She said, well, I've never had it before. I said, most of what you have in your life right now is something that at some point you had never had before.
Uh-huh.
By that logic, and this isn't to shame her or anyone else who thinks this way, because we're programmed to think this way, and we're programmed to then not challenge our thinking. But we
Yes.
want to challenge that thing. So what happens when we hear a new idea, if it doesn't jive with what we already know, we have a stress response when we reject it. But as we're tapping and lowering our stress, we can look at it and say, okay, that's not true. So if I have this belief, well, I haven't had it before, so I can't have it. Well, okay, so when I was about a year old and I saw other people walking, I didn't sit there and go, well, if I had the potential to walk, I would already be walking. I haven't walked before, so now I can never possibly walk. I I've never learned how to do math. I don't know what 2 + 2 equals. I've never been able to answer 2 + 2. So, if I haven't done it before up until now, obviously I can never
Mhm.
do it. And as we tapped through and challenged it, it's like, oh yeah, that just doesn't make any sense at all.
Uh-huh.
Because that person whose house they have, they didn't have that house at one point.
Mhm.
It's otherwise, like, we would have to be born with everything.
Yeah, that's so true. And often, that is not an isolated issue. And probably for each and every person that's listening at one point has
Yeah.
said, oh, I'm not sure I can do that. But, move it. that's just an old pattern or an old belief that we have, because it might just be a brand new experience. It's just that you haven't experienced that before, so therefore you're not familiar with it. But you just get out there and you do it, and then all of a sudden, well, I have now had that experience. I now know how to do X, Y, Z. It's interesting because I've been working with a client in one of our programs too, who was often saying to me, I'm not technologically minded. I can't do this sort of stuff. And funnily enough, I had a session with her yesterday, and boy, oh boy, she's getting around all the technology like she's, like the back of her hand. I asked her some questions, show me how to do this, show me how to do that. And she was boom, boom, boom. I said, there you go. It's got nothing to do with the fact that you're not technologically minded. It's just that it's new. It's a new experience for you. And now that you've experienced it, now you're onto it and you're actually a whiz at this. So if I remember rightly, like originally way back, we were thinking about writing a tapping book, and then that it evolved into a tapping journal. Right. Yeah, because we were wanting to create something that was going to be embedded into people's lives for the very reason that Brad has spoken about. You make tapping part of your life, part of what you do. It's part of your energy hygiene and making sure that you stay balanced. Hence the reason that we've called the method of tapping that we use in conjunction with the Freedom Seekers Journal, the BE method, for balanced energy. So there's two things that I want to talk through as far as like the journal is concerned. So I'll get Brad to he'll hold up the journal. So the journal is called the Freedom Seekers Journal, and of course it is for those people who are seeking freedom. It's got some really cool shiny writing on there, which is a little bit hard to see when you're holding it up on a camera, but it's all embossed. It's a beautiful cover. And like I said, it is designed for those who are seeking freedom in whatever area of your life. The reason that we've created a journal in conjunction with tapping is so that you can embed it into your life. It becomes the thing that you use each and every day to help you plan out your day, and also to help you. Brad mentioned a little bit earlier that he asks people on a scale of 1 to 10, how much is that impacting you, or how do you feel about X, Y, Z? And then you would do it the tapping technique, and then you would again reassess what level you are at. So this journal is also very
the QR codes. That's what takes you to the tapping video. So it's you go to videos where I take you through the tapping process on what you're addressing.
Absolutely. So right at the beginning, so if we go to the welcome page on that, I'll just tell everybody kind of how this journal actually works, because it's a little bit different to your regular journal. It is not your regular journal. So in the first part of the journal, when you receive it, you get an opportunity to activate your journal. And what that does is that will activate the journal, and it will create a pathway for you. So all of the tapping videos that Brad has created have been carefully crafted to help you in whichever area of your life that you're wanting to work on in that particular 90-day period. So the journal works with you for 90 days, and it's as if you've got Brad right there as your personal coach the entire way through the process. So you're using the journal as you normally would any other journal. You're also using it to plan out your day and plan out your goals. And it breaks it down into monthly and weekly and daily goals and milestones. So the idea with the journal is that you choose a pathway. For example, it might be wealth. So it might be that you're wanting to improve your financial situation in this next 90 days. And you can pick whatever. Could be getting rid of debt. It could be whatever it is that you decide you want to do with it. You're going to get your journal. You're going to complete the journal with the instructions that are provided. And then you're also going to activate your journal, and you will choose the pathway, either health, wealth, or relationships. That will activate and create your personal, your pathway for that 90-day period. What that will do is it'll create a series of videos that, like I said, Brad has carefully crafted that will enable you to walk your way through, or tap your way through the process of, improving and getting a transformation over that 90-day period. So if you want to, so we'll show you the book again. You'll flick through it. It's 90 days at a time. It combines both the physical journal, which you would receive along with your fancy pen, and then also it will include your the membership area, which will have all of your videos, which will be, like I said, are carefully crafted based on the pathway in which you choose. There's a whole lot of other bonuses that you also get if you decide that you want to incorporate the Freedom Seekers Journal into your life. One of them was Brad was talking through the eight points, the 8 Meridian Points. There is some detail in the program that will actually walk you through what the 8 Meridian Points are, so you absolutely know, where are the right places to be tapping. The second thing that you're also going to receive is your very own scripts. So he actually talks you through how to create your own scripts for tapping. So in the early stages, as you're getting used to and you're incorporating tapping into your life, you will be following very closely the tap of the morning and the tap of the evening with Brad that have been specifically designed based on your pathway in the journal, and he will take you through that process. And you will do that religiously, consistently, every single day until you get to the end of the 90 days. At the end of the 90 days, over that period of time, you should see some significant, releases, resistance reduced, reduced stress, whatever the area of your life is, you should see an improvement in that area. Then it's up to you to decide whether or not you want to repeat the process again. So every 90 days, you can reorder a new Freedom Seekers Journal along with the BE method program that goes with the journal. They come hand in hand, and you can then choose a new pathway. So by the time you have finished 12 months, you could have worked on various different areas of your life, or you can decide that you stick with absolutely one area and you just go for it for the entire 12 months, purchasing the Freedom Seekers Journal and the BE method for every quarter for the next 12 months, and you should see some significant improvements. Is there anything that you wanted to add as far as how the journal works, Brad? Like Brad's recently got a copy of it. He's had it in his hot little hand. He even got a copy before I did. Mine are still in transit. I think they are in Chicago right now, so I'm waiting for them to arrive. But, so I haven't actually seen their physical version, but the rest of our team who are American-based have all got their copies and have been using them. So what are your thoughts on the journal itself and just incorporating both of these two things together, like the interactive side with you being able to take people through the tapping as well as the actual journal itself? What are your thoughts on the journal?
Well, and that's what I love is that it's, we were talking about not long ago when we were all talking about how it's not just a journal, because it's a journal with a program, because the journal is just there. You can, write down goals, and there's a lot of them out there. And that's very helpful to be able to focus on something that can be very beneficial. But as Dr. Joyce Brothers has said, you will never outperform how you identify yourself. Mm-hmm. And so to have something to be able to also at the same time shift your perspective about who you are and see yourself, not just as somebody who fills out daily entries in your journal, but creating that actual shift, giving yourself the emotional freedom to see yourself as that person who does the things that achieve the results that you want. It is a powerful combination. Just as having, so the tapping adds a huge benefit to the journaling. The journaling also adds a huge benefit to the tapping, because there's a lot of tapping you can do on a lot of different things, but if you're not focused on one thing in particular, you may not notice it. So it's like if you go to the gym and you work on a different machine every day and throughout the month. So let's say, go to a gym like the gym I used to go to that has at least 30 different machines, and you just work on one machine each day. By the end of the month, it's going to be hard to see any noticeable results because I haven't been focused on a particular area. So that was also the thing about the 90 days and the really focusing on, okay, I am focusing on my health or on my wealth or on my relationships. And I totally understand that a lot of people say, but I want to work on all of them. Great. But to be able to say, all right, if I spend the next 90 days focused on my wealth, some things are going to happen. And at the end of those 90 days, I may decide, hey, nothing's so good it can't get better. I'm going to go even further here. Or you may say, I can come back to this, and you can still work on it. It's not like you can only, I'm sorry, we're going to be monitoring you, and you can only work on one of these 3 areas over the next 90 days. You can work on different things, but being able to say, I'm going to put my attention on here, and that's going to create greater results more quickly.
Well, in fact, actually, the way that the program has been designed really, I suppose, intentionally. The word that I would use for this is intention and focus. So when we were all talking about putting this together, it was very much about what is the intention of this and how do we put something together that is going to give somebody not just some small little changes, and they can, like you say, the gym analogy of, you can work on this little piece over here and work on this little piece, and then by the time you've finished sort of a 90-day round at the gym, you'll have some benefit, but you're not going to see, huge biceps. So what we're doing here is that we're getting you to focus on one particular area so that you can very much hone in, focus with all your intention on that one particular area. And then in the next 90 days, that's going to give you a real good, really good amount of momentum. And then in the next 90 days, you would choose a new pathway. And by the time you've finished 3, then if you decided, you could do 3 different pathways over the period of, 3 cycles, so to speak, 3 90-day cycles. And then you can come back and you can redo it, a different cycle or the same cycle again, if you then wanted to refocus back on, on finance. But we highly recommend that you just do one. And in fact, the way that the program is set up is that it is going to say, go back. If you chose wealth and then you're heading off on a tangent and you decide you want to, today I'm feeling like I want to do something completely different, it's going to redirect you back. So part of this entire process with the Freedom Seekers Journal is also being your accountability partner. So Brad is in the program, the way in which it's been designed, not only is he there as your coach, but he's also there to keep you on track and say, get your little blinkers back on. And that's the direction that you wanted to work on this in the next 90 days. That's where we're going. And he'll keep you on track, because for most, particularly entrepreneurs, we get this thing called shiny light, syndrome, shiny object syndrome. And all of a sudden, today I'm not feeling like I want to work on my wealth. I might go over there and do something else. So this is very much about keeping the person on track and on task, and very, very, very focused and intentional about what it is that they're wanting to transform for that 90 days.
And it's brilliant that I want to explain the shiny object thing is brilliant, because, as I said, there's a part of us that doesn't want to change. Mm-hmm. So that's the key thing of having of sort of demanding that you focus on one thing, because part of you will say, no, these are all important, and so I should work on this, and then I should work on this, because part of this is going, because if I don't stay focused, then I can avoid the changes that I find so frightening. Mm-hmm. We are brilliantly, while we are consciously arguing for, no, it's important to me to work on all of these, unconsciously, and the unconscious mind is far more powerful than the conscious mind, unconsciously we're saying, I want to make sure I don't stay focused on something enough to create change that I don't feel ready to handle. So we're 100% successful 100% of the time. It's just a question of what we're being successful at. You have successfully created the level of success in every area of your life that you have right now because of old programming that tells you that's what you can handle. That's what's right for you. This is what's safe. It's a question of what feels safe. And so this setting it up this way, we're going, don't fall for that. Don't fall for
Yeah,
that. No. I need to work on.
it's a trap, right?
Yeah, stick with it. Stick with this. Just like at the gym. It's like, I know you're bored using this machine, but that's how you're going to get the results.
Absolutely. And the cool thing is, like, we talk about, boredom. Will it be boring doing this if I'm just working on one thing? I'm going to say that inside of the program and the BE method, there's actually a number of different videos that have been created and tapping sequences that have been created by Brad specifically for that particular area. So you're not going to get bored, because there are, you can choose this one today and choose a different one the next day. The difference being that they are all very intentional and focused on one particular area of your life. So there are 3 pathways. Like I said, there's 3 pathways that you can choose from. So with the Freedom Seekers Journal, you have the option of being able to work on your health, your wealth, or your relationships. And you might go, well, that actually covers pretty much all of one person, other person's life. It actually does. So it's either health, wealth, or relationships, covers everything. And what you do within that, you have the freedom to be able to choose within that, what part of your wealth do you want to work on? Is it your debt? Is it actually improving your business? Is it, attracting more money? How to become a money magnet? Getting over some blockages that you've had about money. So it could be any of those things. The next might be around health. Do you want to be able to get out and run? One of the things that I'm going to be doing is that would love to be able to do the 10K Gold Coast run, which is in July. So, I will give this a go and see if I can tap to get me to a point where I'm able to run at least 10 kilometers on a regular basis, so that I can actually complete that. So it might be something I'm going to say as simple. And it sounds really simple, just get out there and run. But, my body and my brain is kind of like saying, oh, Trace, that just feels painful. So I'm going to be using the tapping technique to help me get over that. And then the third one is relationships. So everything that we do, whether it's a business relationship, a relationship with our spouse, relationship with our extended family, our children, relationships are also extremely important. And if not taken care of, they can also cause all sorts of stress and anxiety and issues if we don't work on those. So the Freedom Seekers Journal has been created so that you can work on any area of your life. You are the person who is in control. You simply choose one of those 3 pathways, and then within that, like I said, you have the freedom to take it wherever you want. Now, you're probably all wondering, how much is this Freedom Seekers Journal? And there's a couple of things I need to let you guys know. The first is that we have very, very limited stock. That's the first thing, and that is no lie. There is no false scarcity in that whatsoever. We had a shipment arrive, and already a bunch of them have gone. We have literally got 78 copies of the Freedom Seekers Journal and the BE Method program on hand right now. Now, we've got a very special launch price. It's $197. You will get the journal plus a fancy pen, and you'll also get the BE Method, which has all of the tapping videos. It's carefully crafted for you, so you choose your pathway. Inside of the journal, you can also see that there are QR codes. So throughout the journal, it actually walks you through everything you need to do. So, for example, beginning of the day, you can see Brad is pointing it out there. You would take your mobile phone, you would hover over the QR code. It is going to take you directly to the videos inside of the program that you have activated and you have chosen your pathway. It will give you those videos, and you then simply choose the tapping sequence that you would like to do in that moment. And also throughout the book, it's also throughout the journal, it also gives you some points where you're going to do some check-ins. So in the morning, you're going to be tapping, so like the tap of the morning, tapping in the morning to ensure that you have the best possible flow in your day. Then in an evening, what you're going to do is you are going to do another tap, and you are going to identify where in your day did you feel resistance about whatever the pathway was that you chose. So, for example, if it were finance or wealth, for example, you're going to reflect on your day and you're going to think about where in your day did you feel some resistance about your financial or your wealth situation. And again, you are going to hover over the QR code. It'll take you back to some videos and you can tap away that resistance. All right, so that you get an opportunity to start the new day afresh. And that's the process that the journal takes you through, as well as a whole lot of other stuff in there. You can do, there's some great other tools in there, like doing your vision board. That's all incorporated into it. Your daily planning. So you can actually use it just like you would your regular diary. So there's no need for you to have a diary. You simply will use your Freedom Seekers journal, and you make that part of what you do. It's part of your life, and you make it part of your lifestyle. Did you want to add anything to that, Brad?
Well, I just think it's, we call it the Freedom Seekers Journal, but it's a success program. The journal is one component, basically, of the success program.
Absolutely. So that's a fantastic point. No, it is definitely, hence the reason I said at the beginning, it is not your regular journal. It has got so many other components to it, and it's the only one of its kind in it globally. We cannot find another one like this. So it incorporates, the technology with coaching when you need it. So Brad's there at your fingertips whenever you need him. You simply just need to go into your program and then use Brad's guidance to help you work through whatever the situation is. You don't just have to use it at the beginning of the day and, at the end of the day, do they? They can use it middle of the day too if they would like.
Whenever you have your fingertips available for tapping, is a good time to tap. We should actually take them through some tapping.
We should. Let's do that. So let's ask first. I'm going to ask the audience. What do you guys want to tap on? Do you want to tap on health, wealth, or relationships? Give us an idea and type it into the comment section. So just type that in the comment section, and we'll make sure that Brad will impromptu do a tapping session for us. So what would you guys like to do? Let me know in the comments.
While you're thinking about that, I'm going to show you guys the very basic of tapping. So we used the fingertips of our index and middle finger. We'll start by tapping on the side of our opposite hand, where we do the setup phrase. Even though I have this issue, this stress, whatever it might be, this tightness in my shoulders, I love and accept myself. Then we're going to tap the beginning of your eyebrow, side of your eye, right under your eye, right under your nose, right under your lower lip, just above your chin. Right here where your collarbones just about come together. There's a little bit of a U shape at the base of your throat, and you can tap with all your fingertips, or you can make a fist there. About 4 inches below your armpit. It's right about bra strap level, and I'm sure even the guys can figure out where that is. And finally, the top of the head. So using all of your fingertips and just tapping around the crown of your head. So that's the very basic version of EFT, is to just, and you would talk about whatever it is. So if you're feeling this tightness in your shoulders, I would say this tightness in my shoulders, this tightness in my shoulders, this tightness in my shoulders. So that very basic version is something that you now know how to do. And when you're feeling some stress or some discomfort, physically or emotionally, you can start doing that. And again, as I said, you don't need the words, but the words help you stay focused on what it is. Just as using the Freedom Seekers Journal and program helps you stay focused on a particular area of your life so that you can see the improvements, as opposed to continually distracting yourself so that you keep yourself safely in your comfort zone. And love and appreciate yourself. It's not because you're bad or stupid. Just appreciate yourself for wanting to keep yourself in your comfort zone, thinking that that's what you need to do to keep yourself safe, but you deserve better and you're capable of better. And so we want to help you set yourself up to have better.
Well, I've got a few comments come through, but I think the one that is going to resonate with most people is wealth. So I've got a few that have come through, and the other one is grief. So I think today we'll tap on wealth, because that will be something that a lot of people are wanting to work on for 2021, improving their business, improving their financial situation. So let's do that, and let's take it away. I shall just
Okay.
follow along, Brad. The floor
All
is
right.
yours. And just
So,
sorry, there is one other thing, sorry, Brad, that I do want to mention. Because our shows are also a podcast, it's a podcast. I just want to make sure that we, as we're going, we're just going to explain, people can follow along, but maybe just tell them where we're tapping at the same time, if
absolutely.
that's okay. Thank you.
Absolutely. So, and you can, on my YouTube channel, you can see me tapping these points, or you can get the journal and get the bonus that has all the tapping points on it. But so in terms of wealth, so what I'll do is ask everyone to go ahead and close your eyes. Take a deep breath in and hold it. And let it go. And think about what wealth means to you. Imagine yourself living a wealthy life. Again, whatever that means to you. But allow yourself to see what it looks like. Ideally, where would you be? What would you have? And just following your breath through your body, allow yourself to be aware of what you feel about that. Now, first part of you will say, it feels awesome. I'm very excited about this. Allowing yourself to imagine this wealth, say, it's safe for me to have this. And just let that rattle around for a moment inside. And notice on a scale of 0 to 10 how true that feels. And part of you is going to want to say, oh, it's totally a 10. It's absolutely safe for me to have this. And I'm going to say, check again. Because if it really was a 10, you would already be doing everything you could to manifest that, and you would already be creating it. The extent to which we don't have what we say we want tends to be the extent to which we are resisting it. And we generally resist it because it feels unsafe in some way, shape, or form. So as you imagine that wealthy lifestyle, notice where you might feel some tension. Notice where you might feel some resistance, some fear, and ask yourself, what is that fear about? Am I afraid people will be jealous of me? Am I afraid that my family will always be bothering me for a loan? Am I afraid that people will know that I have that money and they'll rob me? Just allow yourself to be aware of what you feel physically and emotionally, and what thoughts, beliefs, or memories come up as to why you couldn't or shouldn't allow yourself to be wealthier, why you couldn't or shouldn't take the actions that would create a wealthier life. Take a deep breath, open your eyes, and tapping on the side of the hand. Even though part of me is resisting greater wealth,
Even though part of me is resisting greater wealth,
I choose to love and accept myself anyway.
I choose to love and accept myself anyway.
Even though part of me is resisting greater wealth,
Even though part of me is resisting greater wealth,
I choose to love and honor myself anyway.
I choose to love and honor myself anyway.
Even though part of me is resisting greater wealth,
Even though part of me is resisting greater wealth,
and I might even resist that thought,
and I might even resist that thought,
I'm not resisting greater wealth,
I'm not resisting greater wealth,
although it seems to be resisting me.
although it seems to be resisting me.
I'm doing everything I can possibly do,
I'm doing everything I can possibly do,
every single day,
every single day,
taking advantage of every possible opportunity
taking advantage of every single possible opportunity
to enhance my financial wealth.
to enhance my financial wealth.
And that's probably just not true.
probably just not true.
And the extent to which I'm not doing all those things
And to the extent to which I'm not doing all of those things
is because part of me feels resistant.
is because part of me feels resistance.
And even though part of me is resisting greater wealth,
And even though part of me is resisting greater wealth,
I choose to deeply and completely
I choose to deeply and completely
love, honor, and accept myself,
love, honor, and accept myself,
and maybe anybody else who taught me to resist wealth.
and maybe anybody else that taught me to resist wealth.
Tapping the eyebrow point, all this resistance to greater wealth.
All this resistance to greater wealth.
Side of the eye, all this resistance to greater wealth.
All this resistance to greater wealth.
Under the eye, all this fear of greater wealth.
All this fear of greater wealth.
Under the nose, I might tell myself I'm not afraid of it.
I might tell myself I'm not afraid of it.
Under the mouth, but when I actually think of having greater wealth.
But when I actually think of having greater wealth.
Collarbone, it brings a whole bunch of thoughts up.
It brings a whole bunch of thoughts up.
Under the arm, including things I heard in my childhood.
Including things I heard in my childhood.
That make me uncomfortable.
That make me uncomfortable.
Maybe I heard that money was the root of all evil.
Maybe I heard that money was the root of all evil.
Side of the eye. And I'm not comfortable with the idea of being evil.
And I'm not comfortable with the idea of being evil.
Under the eye. So if wealth means more evil.
So if wealth means more evil.
Under the nose. I might resist that.
I might resist that.
Under the mouth. I may be afraid that I'll be robbed.
I may be afraid that I'll be robbed.
Collarbone. I may be afraid that everybody will want a loan.
I may be afraid that everybody will want a loan.
Under the arm. I'm afraid that people will be jealous of me.
I'm afraid that people will be jealous of me.
Top of the head. The idea of having more wealth.
The idea of having more wealth.
Eyebrow point. Brings up a lot of uncomfortable images.
Brings up a lot of uncomfortable images.
Side of the eye. And I may not be consciously aware of them.
And I may not be consciously aware of them.
Under the eye. But they bring up a level of stress.
But they bring up a level of stress.
Under the nose. That distracts me.
That distracts me.
Under the mouth. And stops me from making different choices.
And stops me from making different choices.
Collarbone. And stops me from taking different actions.
And stops me from taking different actions.
Under the arm. That would change my level of wealth.
That would change my level of wealth.
Top of the head. I am brilliantly resisting greater wealth.
I am brilliantly resisting greater wealth.
Eyebrow point. Not because I'm bad or stupid.
Not because I'm bad or stupid.
Side of the eye. Not because I'm weak or lazy.
Not because I'm weak or lazy.
Under the eye. But because I have all this old programming.
But because I have all this old programming.
Under the nose. Telling me that greater wealth would be a bad thing.
Telling me that greater wealth would be a bad thing.
Under the mouth. And I'm allowed to fantasize about it all I want.
And I'm allowed to fantasize about it all I want.
Collarbone. I just need to make sure it doesn't happen.
I just need to make sure it doesn't happen.
Under the arm. And I love and appreciate those parts of me.
And I love and appreciate those parts of me.
Top of the head. That are just trying to take care of me.
That are just trying to take care of me.
Eyebrow point. And now I'm allowing myself to change my mind.
And now I'm allowing myself to change my mind.
Side of the eye. Because these things that I'm afraid of.
Because these things that I'm afraid of.
Under the eye. Most of them aren't even true.
Most of them aren't even true.
Under the nose. And even the ones that might be true.
And even the ones that might be true.
Under the mouth. I can handle them.
I can handle them.
Collarbone. And I'm worthy and deserving of a wealthy life.
And I'm worthy and deserving of a wealthy life.
Under the arm. And I'm setting myself free to achieve that.
setting myself free to achieve that.
Feeling good about wealth in body, mind, and spirit.
Feeling good about wealth in body, mind, and spirit.
And take a deep breath. Close your eyes and again imagine that ideal wealthy life. Go ahead and imagine whatever images you were thinking of before and say again, it's safe for me to have this. And hopefully that number has come up. And you may even have ideas about choices you could make, actions you could take, things that you might have thought, oh, why haven't I been doing this? And just allowing yourself to see what comes up there and making positive, healthy choices like, I don't know, getting involved in a program that helps you create a mind shift and change your behavior. Those kind of things that you may have talked yourself out of in the past. There may have been opportunities for personal development programs that you've talked yourself out of for all kinds of absolutely, understandably really good reasons. But underlying all of those reasons is, I don't feel ready for change. Or I don't deserve the benefits, or whatever it is, that it didn't feel safe to do it. And allowing yourself to clear that resistance and recognize that nothing is too good for you, and allowing yourself the opportunity to change your mind about that and let things get really, really good in your life. And that'll benefit other people too. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you very much. That was fantastic. And I know that a lot of our viewers today are also shooting through messages saying that was super. That was just so awesome. Thank you very, very much for doing that. So that was a bit of a, I suppose, a sneak peek into what you can expect inside of the Freedom Seekers Journal. And as Brad said, it's one of those things that we have the control. We are in control of what it is that we do with our lives. And sometimes we have to move outside of our comfort zone, and we have to, make the choice to, maybe it is to purchase the Freedom Seekers Journal. Maybe you realize and understand that you need a little bit of help to ensure that you can embed this practice into your life on a daily basis. And you want somebody to hold your hand each and every day to ensure that you're able to do that. And so what I want to ask you guys now is, if all the Freedom Seekers Journal did for you was gave you some focus and the ability to be able to create an intention in your life, would it be worth the spend of $197? If all it did was gave you a technique that you could use at kind of any time, whenever you're feeling resistance, whenever you're feeling like, I need to move through whatever is going on in your life. If you learned this technique, would it be worth it? That's my question to you. So the investment for the Freedom Seekers Journal, along with, like we said, it's not a journal just on its own. It's actually a full success program, which includes the journal as well as the BE method program, where you have Brad there to hold your hand, to talk you through the tapping technique and talk you through those sequences, but then also show you how you can create your very own powerful sequences that will help you to move through and shift any blockage, any emotional blockage that you've got in your life, so that you can live free.
Indeed.
So guys, all you've got to do, like I said, we've only got 70, I think we've actually got 76 copies right at this moment in time, because Robin has just sent me through a message to say that we've got a couple of others that are now gone. So we are on the countdown. We've only got a few of them left. Once these are gone, that's it in the first round. The price of the Freedom Seekers Journal is going to be going up. So right now you are going to be saving $100 when you purchase the Freedom Seekers Journal. So go and get your copy. It's only available for the next, once that 76 now we've got gone, that's it. The price next round of the Freedom Seekers Journal is going to be $100 more. So head on over to the freedomseekersjournal.com, click on the button that's in the middle of the page. You can read all about it there. You can see some of the internal pages. Brad's got some more videos on there that will talk you through what the journal is all about. And I would highly recommend that you purchase yourself a copy of the Freedom Seekers Journal. Get rid of your old diary, get rid of your other journal, because this will do both of those things and give you a very, very powerful technique to be able to use to achieve any type of success that you want in your life. So again, just the place to go is on the bottom of the screen here, www.thefreedomseekersjournal.com. Head on over there and go and get yourself a copy of the Freedom Seekers Journal and also the BE Method program that goes with it. So for today, guys, that was the exciting news. There you go. There it is, that we had to share. It has been a project that we've been working on for a good 6 months. Finally, it is out. We've kept it under wraps for quite some time, and we've been working very, very closely with Brad to perfect the journal and make sure that our intention was that we were able to get this into the hands of as many people who are seeking freedom in their life as possible, and that we would be able to, help you move through whatever situation you have in your life to create a better life with health, wealth, relationships, and to create happiness and joy in as many places as we possibly can. So I want to say thank you so much for Brad being here today, sharing his knowledge, his wisdom, and also doing that amazing tapping sequence with us. Thank you for doing that. I hope everybody found that very beneficial and feels a lot better about where you can be taking your wealth and your financial situation in 2021. And you will obviously see a lot more of Brad, because we will continue to chat about the Freedom Seekers Journal and some of the major benefits that our customers are having as a result of embedding the Freedom Seekers method into their everyday lives. So thank you so much for being here, Brad. You're an absolute pleasure to work with and to have on the show. Thank you for your time and knowledge today.
Oh, my pleasure, Tracy. It's always great hanging out with you.
Absolutely. Well, hey guys, thank you very much for hanging out with both Brad and I. I hope you enjoyed today's session. It was a little bit different today, but like I said, head on over, get yourself a copy of the Freedom Seekers Journal and also the BE Method, and you'll find Brad waiting for you on the inside of your journal, waiting to get to tap yourself all the way to freedom in health, wealth, and relationships. So I want to say bye for now. I'll be back again this Friday, 10 a.m. Brisbane time, for another episode of Unlocked. Like I always say when I finish the show, go and live your life unlocked, because there is just no other way. And I've got to tell you, the Freedom Seekers Journal is one of those ways that you can start living your life unlocked. So go get yourself a copy. Thanks, Brad. Thanks, everybody. See you again soon. Bye for now.